IVF retrieval is tomorrow, and yes, I'm having IVF in Mexico. I'm Dr. Jolene Brighton. I'm a board-certified naturopathic endocrinologist, and I'm also a woman who has been struggling with secondary infertility. I've had a lot of questions, so we're going to be doing an Ask Dr. Brighton in this video, as well as talking about my personal experience, my personal journey, and what I have been up to. Now, I have several other videos talking through each stage of my journey, what's been going on with me in trying to get pregnant after 40, and I'm going to give you the short, truncated version here. So I was able to get pregnant and have a healthy, successful pregnancy at age 40, and then come age 41, no more. I can get pregnant, I cannot stay pregnant. I've had all the lab work done, and the main reason why myself and my doctor suspect that I cannot remain pregnant is because I do have the eggs of now a 42-year-old. And as we get older, those cells are less likely to divide the way they should. So those chromosomes, they're not splitting up the way that they should be. And that's resulting in a non-viable embryo, which leads to miscarriage. Why did I decide to do IVF? I had a lot of questions, and I actually have my laptop right here so I can get through all of the questions that people asked. Okay, many people wanted to know. I thought IVF was for helping you get pregnant, not for maintaining a pregnancy. So why would you go IVF if you can get pregnant but you can't maintain a pregnancy? So here's the thing. I can get pregnant, and I've got plenty of eggs according to my AMH. However, not all of them are going to produce a viable embryo. The reason I cannot stay pregnant is because the embryo is not viable. This is the most common cause of miscarriage, especially when you're over 40. The cells do not divide correctly, and because of that, you can't get a healthy euploid embryo, which means that it is normal chromosomally speaking. And so because of that, if it's not compatible with life, the body being really wise, that results in a miscarriage. What IVF is going to help me do is I'm going to retrieve those eggs. We are going to use a process called ICSI, where they choose the best sperm and they will fertilize the egg. We will grow those cells to day 5. And at day 5, they're going to take a piece of the cells, specifically the trophoblast, which will become the placenta, and they're going to test it through PGTA testing. They'll be able to tell which embryos are normal and which are abnormal. I will not transfer any abnormal embryos because I've already been doing that and having miscarriage, so we don't want any of that. IVF is going to enable me to get a healthy embryo to implant into my body. My hormones are great. My body is set up to carry to term a healthy pregnancy, as far as we know, as of right now. And the problem is the egg quality. And so that is what I'm circumventing with IVF. I've had 4 miscarriages in the last year, so rather than repeating that and running out the clock, like I should be holding a baby right now. I shouldn't be still trying to pursue a baby based on when I originally got pregnant. And so I'm just trying to get there in a way that results in less heartache and won't compromise my ability to still have a healthy child. If I continue to try on my own, those eggs continue to age, and I may have less of a chance of success with IVF in the future. And so that is why I decided to go this route now. Now, I know you may be well-intentioned, but I'd like to remind everybody that people do not arrive at the decision for IVF lightly. And you might want to put something in the comments like, hey, if you just did a parasite cleanse, or if you just did X, Y, Z, you'd be able to get pregnant naturally. I can get pregnant naturally, but I'm running out of time, which is why I've decided to go the route of IVF. While your comments are well-intentioned and you are a very good person for trying to help out, I'm not asking for any help. I'm not soliciting any advice from anyone here. I'm simply sharing my story, my information. And I just want to remind everybody, the best thing that you can do is always ask someone when they're sharing their story, would you like me to listen, or would you like me to support you in another way? Would you like suggestions? Just ask. I'm laying on my side right now. I'm actually in bed because I have 2 very ripe ovaries right now, and that makes things a little bit uncomfortable. It's not been bad at all. I stimmed for 10 days, so doing injections of FSH and a little bit of LH to get the follicles to develop. And last night I did my trigger shot. I have to say, I really prepared myself for things to be much, much worse than this. I felt so good this entire time. I had to say that going back on the pill, using the pill, was the absolute worst hormone experience of this entire part of my journey. And I'm going to explain why I use the pill instead of waiting just for my natural cycle. But for anybody who is like really afraid of the hormones and how they're going to make you feel, understand that we all have a different experience, and that just because my experience is that birth control pill was like literal hell for myself and my family, and that the entire stim has been a very lovely time and I've been like really even kill in terms of my emotions, you might not have that same experience. I just say that because I think it's really easy for us to compare ourselves to one another and then wonder what's wrong with me that I didn't have that experience. As one example, I have a good friend who just went through IVF, and she was like, wear loose clothing, have all the loose clothing the day before your retrieval. You're not going to want anything to touch you. I'm actually wearing postpartum compression leggings. I feel like I want to have support, and I do appreciate the pressure, and that I don't want things to be loose, and I didn't expect that, but here we are. And this is why it's so important to listen to everybody's information and gather that information and have your options, but always honor what is true for you. Okay, so 10 days of stim, did trigger shot, so no shots today, but blood draw, and tomorrow in the morning I'm gonna go and have the egg retrieval. Lots of people asking, are you anxious? Oh, yes, I'm anxious. I am worried. Yes, that's a normal experience. I don't want anybody putting needles in my ovaries. I don't want anybody putting me even in a conscious sedation. I don't want any of that, right? But I do want a healthy pregnancy. So it's a trade-off. And I don't think, one, if you choose to do IVF, people do not hold space for you and give you permission to be scared, to be anxious, to cry, to like have your emotions, because they're like, well, this is what you signed up for. I know what I signed up for, and I can't control my emotions at the same time. In fact, that's bad for you. You should feel what you feel. Lots of questions about what I'm doing to support my body through the stims. I'm going to make a different video on that and just talk about that piece alone. But I do want you to know, I'm going to talk about how I prepped my body before IVF, and then how I have been preparing my body and really supporting my body through stims so that I feel great. And I know my body really well, as you also know your body really well. I think that's really important, to tune into your body and honor that. And we'll make a whole video about this because, again, my retrieval is tomorrow and I'm still up and moving around. I went for a pretty long walk today. I wouldn't advise going for a long walk because at the end of the walk I was like, ooh, little weight. Came home, laid down for about 20 minutes, and then I felt fine again. So I will talk about those specifics. At the top of this video, I said birth control was way worse. My doctor started me on Yasmin, which I was not a fan of. This has drospirenone, which is a type of progestin, not progesterone, progestin. That's a synthetic version of progesterone that causes retention of potassium. And it's supposed to be the one that like helps with acne, but I actually got some deep hard lesions, and when I came off, I ended up having a little bit more of a breakout, and I don't usually have acne. This is like such a throwback to my experience with birth control before, when I came off and had acne for the first time ever in my life. That was problematic. I do have to say that I started to gaslight myself in the beginning with my symptoms that I was having on birth control. Within 2 days of being on birth control, I was crying really easily. I was really irritable and getting angry really fast and losing my temper. Stupid stuff that would just like frustrate me. Some of that anger was definitely directed towards my husband, which I was like, I'm so sorry, this is my hormones. We just had to have lots of talks about how it was my hormones, and we braced ourselves because we were like, oh God, IVF is going to be so much worse. Not the case. But I only spent 10 days on the pill and I hated every minute of it. So in the beginning, I was like, no, it's just because you know about the side effects of the pill. It's just because you wrote a book about the pill. That is why this is going on. And then I caught myself being like, you're literally gaslighting yourself in the same way that other doctors gaslight you. But I really didn't expect to have that extreme of reaction so quickly with being on it. I thought it would be fine. And I was like, I know about the side effects. I'm going to do all these things to mitigate it. And it just reminded me that the pill has never worked for my mood. I may try a different formulation if I have to go back on it, but I really don't want to go back on it because I was not myself and I was angry and I was crying, and I cried on a podcast. I was like getting teary doing a podcast interview. I would cry about everything. And so it was like, if I'm not angry, then I'm feeling really sad and I'm crying and I lost my motivation, which is in part because that formulation in particular can really tank your testosterone. And so I was definitely feeling that. And it was just crazy to me that it happened so quickly. I don't think my teenage self ever paid attention to how quickly these symptoms came on, but that's what's true for me. Why the hell would you even take the pill? Like, you're a doctor who wrote about the side effects of the pill and you've been talking about this for years. So like, why the hell would you do this? Okay, here's the thing. Life and the timing of things is not always in your favor. What happened for me is that I am actually going to be traveling in Europe for work. I have to go for work. Contract signed. I am speaking on stages. People will notice if I don't show up. I interviewed a lot of clinics and I found the clinic that I wanted. Then my period was coming and my doctor was like, well, get here and let me check your ovaries on day 2 and let's start stims. And I was like, well, that's in less than 5 days. I can't mobilize a husband, 2 kids, and a dog in that period of time. I do believe I could have, but I'm trying to keep my stress low. And we had to like also prepare for travel to Europe. It's kind of a big thing, a big undertaking. With my doctor, as I was talking through it, she was like, listen, it could take you 2 full weeks to stem, and then it might take you another week to recover. That's possible after you have the retrieval. With that in mind, I had no time, and I would have had to wait until the end of summer, beginning of fall to actually get here and do the egg retrieval. And at that point, I am now 42 and a half. So I would have lost several months of time. And anyone who is experiencing infertility knows when you want a baby in your arms, you don't want a baby in your arms in the next year and a half. You want a baby in your arms yesterday. So I opted to go on the pill, shut those ovaries down, because that's what the pill does, and get here within 10 days and start the process of IVF. In retrospect, even when I look at how much I hated being on the pill because I just did not feel good in my body and I didn't like who I was, it's a very finite period of time. And this is why I always say the pill does have utility, and sometimes we do need to leverage it as a tool. I leveraged it as a tool here, hated it, but also really grateful that I was able to do that and to be able to time things in the way that I needed. Now, my doctor wants me to get back on the pill as I go to Europe, and that way, as soon as we come back, I can just start another round of retrievals. I am not sold on doing another retrieval just yet. Odds are I will have to have enough viable embryos. And why I say that is because even if I get 1 or 2 viable embryos from this procedure, those might not take. I don't want to waste 3 months of time when I could have retrieved more eggs, had more viable embryos, and then be able to do implantation and not be successful with being pregnant with a non-viable pregnancy. I am on the fence about it. I haven't decided. I will keep you posted. I don't want to spend a month on the pill. I don't think I could. I don't think it's fair to my family. I might try a different formulation, like I said, but even still, it never feels good to feel like you're not yourself and that you have no control over your emotions and your body. And being in IVF chat rooms, I see a lot of women who ask the same question, like, why am I crying all the time? What is wrong with me? Is it the pill? Did you guys have this experience? Because my doctor's telling me it's not the pill. It is the pill. It is not you. If you start a medication and you suddenly don't feel like yourself and you're crying and you have these mood issues and then you stop it and then you feel like yourself again, I don't need a research study to say that this is the cause in my own body. I know this is the cause in my own body. And all of the research we have is showing association and correlation. Someone will jump in the comments, correlation does not equal causation. Yes. We understand that. And still, I'm sitting here telling you my experience and you feel like that's the most important thing that you can bring to the table. Sorry, I just find that incredibly frustrating when people dismiss someone's story of their experience of living in their body based on a research study. Because the reality is that research studies are not all encompassing. They have biases in even how they select things sometimes. But there was a very large study, I talk about this in my book, Beyond the Pill, that showed that there is absolutely a correlation between starting hormonal birth control and experiencing depression. There have been subsequent studies showing increased risk of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. With all of that in mind, understand that certainly if I had to go longer on the pill, I would be getting a lot more mental health support because it was affecting me in that way. Even with that, I mean, what am I going to do? Talk therapy out my hormones? But it is always important anytime we're having major mental emotional strain that we do have mental emotional support. I don't want to downplay that and dismiss that. I think anybody going through IVF absolutely needs to have mental emotional support. This question was from Gabby Mills. How long will the IVF process take? From the time you made the decision to transfer. So from the time I decided, let's do IVF, to transfer. I'm going to get into that in a future video because I haven't transferred yet. So we're going to have to see whether I'm going to do another retrieval or if I'm going to go straight to transfer. It's all going to depend on what happens 5 days following Saturday. Actually, it's going to be further than that. It's going to take about 3 weeks to get the PGTA testing back. But what I will say is that when I had my third miscarriage, I was like, we're going to pause, take some time off, and then we're going to try again. And if it's not successful this time, then I want to go IVF because my heart cannot break anymore. And I could have definitely tried some more because it really is a statistics game, but I wanted to have a more sure bet. This question is from Debbie. Fresh transfer or frozen genetic testing? I'm going to be doing frozen. After they collect the cells, they do the biopsy for testing. They're going to freeze those. They're going to put them on ice. We're going to hold those. And so yes, I am doing genetic testing. And that is the whole reason that I'm doing IVF. I would not do a fresh transfer at my age, knowing what I know. Lots of women out there have had success at my age with a fresh transfer. Your girl, Dr. Brighton, has spent a lot of time in PubMed, and I just feel like what's best for me is getting that genetic testing and knowing for sure. This question's from Miss Shanna. 36, trying to conceive second baby for 10 months. When should I explore IVF? All right, Miss Shanna, here is the thing. If you are over 35, you shouldn't go more than 6 months of trying before you get a medical consult. And the reason for that is that once we get over age 35, time is not on our side. It doesn't mean you can't get pregnant naturally. It doesn't mean you won't have a healthy pregnancy, but you definitely want to investigate because if this is second baby that you're trying for, it could be that you developed hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's following the birth of your second child and something is brewing there. You may have suboptimal thyroid function. It could also be a situation of timing things correctly, which I know sounds really basic and simple. I have a whole video on this. Know that it is not basic and simple for a lot of people to figure out the timing of these things. It is simple once you know all of it. I would definitely encourage you, if you're over age 35, to get in and meet with a specialist, a reproductive endocrinologist, and not necessarily going to tell you to explore IVF right away. There's going to be a lot more investigation that's done to figure out what's going on, and it doesn't mean just jump to IVF. And if you do meet with somebody and they're not going to work you up and they're like, you should just consider IVF, you should get a second opinion because there should be a full workup involved in this. And most doctors are going to do this, but there are ones out there, and I've definitely heard this from patients and friends and other people in the community that have gone to doctors who were just like, you know what, let's just get you started with IVF. We'll do the basic testing, but we're going to get you like in the whole process. And it feels like things move too quick because you didn't get all the information gathered and the information that you needed. Ash Butler asks, is the egg retrieval process painful? I'll tell you in a future video. There are women who are like, it was fine. I was able to go walking and play with my kids, or I was in my garden all day, or I went to a workout class like the next day, which you should always check with your doctor about exercise because ovarian torsion is a risk. And then I've heard women who have said that it took them 2 weeks and that they were in so much pain. If you are in pain and it is impacting your activities of daily living, you need to check in with your doctor because it could be ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, or it could be that something else is seriously wrong. So you definitely want to check with your provider on that. I will answer that question in a future video. Anka asks, what happens to the viable embryos? What happens to the non-viable embryos? Non-viable embryos might not even make it to day 5. They may very well just die off on their own, which is really the drop-off that you see in IVF. I might start with 16 and I might end up with 4 that I can actually test. That wouldn't be abnormal to see. And then I might end up with 1 that comes back. That's normal. A lot of them will either not get fertilized or they will not make it to day 5 in terms of their growth. They won't be able to be sustained. So the non-viable ones are not compatible with life as it is. And so if they don't make it to day 5, they weren't going to make it. If they are not viable, if they are aneuploid, if there is a chromosomal defect that's not compatible with life, those will not be frozen and those will not be saved because those would never make it anyways. And then if they are viable, they're going to stay on ice until we are ready to transfer them. I'm just going to say that I can't help but feel when I get questioned about like, what are you going to do with the non-viable embryos? I've had it asked in such a way that makes me feel sometimes that people have their own religiously rooted belief about those embryos, and because they don't fully understand the science behind it, it comes with a bit of judgment. I'm not saying that's what that person was doing, but I have had people in my DMs that have said, how can you live with yourself choosing that this embryo is non-viable and knowing that you killed a baby? I didn't do that. That's not what happened. If they're not viable, they're not even going to make it to growing until day 5. And then if they come back and it shows that they have chromosomal defects, we could transfer that and it wouldn't matter because it wouldn't make it. Like, we know this. And so it's not viable. There's no way that it would make it. So what am I going to do? Go through a transfer process knowing it's a non-viable organism and going through the heartache and the loss and like all of that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so I do want to say, like, whatever your religious beliefs are, like, you do you, and I will totally respect and honor that. But be careful how you tread into people's lives, especially those going through IVF. The majority of people going through IVF aren't even going to tell you they're going through IVF because of crap like that, because of judgment, shame, and all of that. Who does that serve? How does that help in any way? And I think that is a really important question to ask yourself. Am I being kind, and is this actually helping? And if it's not, well, mama should have taught you, just keep your mouth shut. I'm also going to answer these in upcoming videos: the cost of doing IVF, have I moved for IVF, what kind of protocols are you doing for stims, what supplements are you taking. Jen is asking, will you share the number of embryos you have once you know? I will share all of that in an upcoming video. Y'all are super curious, and I think it's just time that we normalize these very normal experiences that we have in our life. Other questions I got that I'm going to answer in upcoming videos. Will you share the number of eggs retrieved? Yes, but that happens tomorrow, so I can't share that yet. As of right now, I have 16 follicles. They're all about the same size, which is a good thing because that means we have more of a chance of capturing all 16 of those. Other questions: why did you choose Mexico? I am going to get into that in another video. If you've got questions, you want me to answer them, whether it's about my own journey, whether it is about IVF in general or fertility, please just drop them below. I'd be more than happy to answer whatever I'm comfortable with. If there are things that you ask me and I'm not comfortable with, I will not answer them. So you can go ahead and ask. I'm not going to get offended. If I'm back on the birth control pill, maybe I will, and I'll just have someone else screen those, okay? But as of right now, I'm riding high on estrogen. I'm feeling pretty good. So I will see you post retrieval.